Got your countdown. Five, four, three, two,
Three,
one.
2, 1. Happy New Year!
Yeah, I guess we're live. Let me just double check. Yes, we are live. Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'm Dustin Coiner here from TrackDaz here in Southern California, and I'm on tonight with the segment called "Ask the Privateer" with Cory Ventura. Now, Cory just came off of a year on the R7, and now he's going to be on something a little bit bigger than that for 2023. What is up, Cory?
Howdy, how you doing, Dustin? It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. I mean, truthfully, I've known you probably since 16. I met you at Laguna Seca during the KTM 390 Cup stuff.
hmm
And what's weird about that is that your voice is still the same.
Uh, you know, I haven't grown at all since then. I've thinned out a little bit. I'm actually less weight than I was then.
Oh, is
Back
that
then, I was
right?
just this little bowling ball. I was circle, I was great in the gravel traps, just rolling over. It was perfect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Did you did your parents like wrap up your whole body like they used to do with the Japanese women's feet or something? Like what happened there?
I guess I'm missing something, too much bread or coffee.
Too much bread? I don't think so. But coffee, maybe. They start drinking you coffee like at 14 or something, 12.
Dude, those iced vanilla lattes, Starbucks had it marketed perfect just for those white girls and me.
Okay. That's exactly the answer I was thinking I was going to get from you. So, you know what? You've been racing for quite a while. You did the pro thing starting at 16 with the 390 Cup, but you know, when did you actually start racing? Because I heard a little something from Gray Fam about you guys that goes
Oh
all the way
boy.
back to maybe pocket bikes.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about it a whole lot, but yeah, I started on pocket bikes, those little tiny itty bitty Chinese things. I think I had one of those really cool Bladas,
Okay.
Italian made or something. Yeah, right. I started off on those and worked my way up through the mini moto scene, then over
Yeah.
to supermoto, and that's how I made the transition to big track.
Right on. So, uh, were you racing on the big track before the 390 Cup thing, or what were you doing?
Yeah, I did a year and a half, I want to say, on an R3. We got an R3 and just spent a season at AFM doing some track days and just getting into it. I mean, we were close with Ezra before then. I spent a lot of time with Ezra ever since Supermotos. We became buddies and we
Yeah.
hooked up. But he did the first year with the RC Cup, and we're like, that's what we need to get into. Well, however, to get there is what we needed.
Nice. Nice. So, you know, going back to those days, um, Gray Fam was saying that you guys raced all the way back then, did the pocket bike thing or whatever, but you guys have stayed pretty good friends since then, yeah?
Yeah, no,
Did-
Gray and I have been super close. Like he's come here and stayed at my house a couple times. Pete and Tracy, they've always been like another set of parents to me. They introduced me to riding mountain bikes. I think I flew down to them when I just turned 13 and Pete put me on a mountain bike with Gray and I was like, forget riding motorcycles. This is what I want to do. But no, like we've always been really close and Gray's kind of taken a little different path from racing, but we've always stayed in touch and been able to keep doing with what we're doing.
So, okay, let's before I get in, you know what? Fuck it. I'll just say what the boys said. All right, you ready for this? All right, so
I'm
like I
ready.
said, I reached out to G3, Gabriel Hernandez the third, and then Ruben Casares and
hmm
Gray Fam, and I was like, hey, you guys, give me a little something, something, right? Okay, so take a deep breath. This is what G3 said, and you know what? G3 and Ruben they responded to me basically in the exact way that they used to ride, and it was amazing. Like Lily and I last night had a whole moment about it because G3 was such a calculated, talented rider, right?
hmm
And whereas Ruben kind of rode more by his balls, basically, right? Like kind of like Ezra, right?
Yeah.
Right? Similar.
hmm
So G3 said something like, He didn't really race that much, but we were in different packs. It was his way of being nice, of saying that he was in front of you, but without saying
Yeah.
it. That's totally G3, right? We were
So I
just in
just want to.
different packs.
This is all NSRs. Like I can tell you what, when we were all little, we had two different divisions. There was NorCal and then there was SoCal, and
Yeah.
we'd always like square up against each other. Be like, oh, okay, well, this guy's doing this time here. Oh, he thinks he's so cool. Oh, he's got his helmet on his on the ground, or he's scraping elbow. He's badass. Oh, and like I can tell you what, when we were racing NSRs, I was fucking terrible. Like we had up in our pack, there was Brendan Kettleson, Rocco Landers, a kid named Fernando Alonso, and then Ezra raced one race against me on an NSR, and whole nother story. He's never raced before. I was kicking his ass all weekend long. Show up to the race, and Ezra beats me by, I don't know, a straightaway's length, and it was just crushed my dreams. NSRs were not my thing, but I can tell you what, we were like, oh, those SoCal kids, we're gonna fuck them up. They ain't got nothing on us. And let me just tell you, every time I went and raced against Gabe and Ruben, I got my ass handed to me. But Gray, I think we had a couple more battles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, you and Gray both kind of took a little bit to get going, right? I mean, you know, G3 and Ruben were down here getting smacked down by adults for a long time before you guys came down, right? Um,
Yeah.
so, and G3, obviously, he went to the Rookies Cup thing, right? So, like, but anyway, so now for what Ruben had to say. You're gonna love what Ruben had to say because the way he said it, it reminded me of exactly the way he rode. So he said he remembers he used to beat up on you pretty good, and
Oh
then
yeah.
at some point, you got your shit together and you started whooping his ass, and that was it. So that I mean, is that not Ruben or what?
That is 100% Ruben. I don't think ever in minis I was able to be anywhere close to him, but once we got on the bigger bikes, it was game over.
Yeah, and then obviously Gray said basically a mirror image of what you said. Basically like you guys, your whole family is like like a second family to each other. So,
Hmm.
typical, kind of the way he rode too. Like his answer to me was more emotional.
Yeah, for sure. And he's got to
Okay,
think it all out and everything. Yeah.
yeah, like super calculated, all that, right? So, what is it that keeps you going, right? Because those guys, they came up with you, and obviously Ezra's still doing Ezra things. But how is it that you're still able to make the grids and stuff and continue doing what you're doing instead of like going, okay, I've got to get a real job now, like the boys, right? I mean, you know,
I think most of it's just passion. I absolutely love doing this, and it's easy to sit here and go, oh, I see how much money I'm putting into this time, effort, and it's not paying off. Like I quit racing. I want to say at the end of 2019, I broke my wrist. I destroyed two R6s at the season finale of MotoAmerica at Barber, and I felt like I was finally picking up racing 600s. And after that, I was like, I'm done. I'm over it. I've spent way too much money doing this, and we hit COVID, and I had an opportunity come up with Chris McGuire and Jesse Keller. They wanted to put a program together for me to come race AFM. And I was like, you know what? I got to come back. Like, I miss it. I want to do it. And I put my own program together, ran it out of Jesse's garage. And, anyway, I love it too much. And I was so happy to make it back into MotoAmerica. And, I feel like my hard work and just time and blood and sweat and tears that I put into it is finally paid off a little bit, but I don't want to give up on this.
so was that for 21?
Uh, when I put that program together was 2020.
Oh, it was 2020. Okay,
Yeah.
because I remember coming back. I raced my R1 at Thunderhill a couple times in 2021, and I remember seeing you there, obviously.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, So you raced that Cowie both those years?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, you I'm just going to go right into it then. You basically in 2021 you were the AFM number 1 plate holder, and or you won the number 1 plate, right? And
Yep.
most of your battles, I mean, dude, you're on a 600. How do you win? AFM's are arguably the most competitive racing club in the country, at least that's what they tell people. Um, right? Um,
Exactly.
it's like, I mean, dude, AFM is no joke. You go there and like, like it's fast, and to go there and earn the number 1 plate there, that's itself a giant feat, right? And then, but you did it on a 600. Like, how the hell did you do that?
It was a tough thing to do for sure. Like we set these goals up in 2020. We're like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. And I had a great team behind me, and I've never won a championship before in my life up until this point. Never been able to put a season together or have everything go the way I need it to. And Jesse put me on the right path. And between the support from Chris and Cory at CT Racing, we just kept hammering down. I actually never won a race in 2021 to make that happen. I was between me battling with Bryce and battling with Ezra. Ezra had won DNF, and I think my opinion was I made my way around Ezra and started pulling away. So all of a sudden he had a bike issue, and it just he pulled off
Oh,
the side of the racetrack. I,
wow.
I think he rage quit, in my opinion.
I'm gonna have to
But
write this down, and I'm gonna have to. Should I send him the link and have him chime in?
yeah, you should put him on the podcast now. We'll
Oh
get
my
this out
god.
right now. But no, like that race in particular, I finished second and a half behind Bryce Prince over the 13-14 lap race. And honestly, I feel like the way I rode with that ZX6 was the best riding I've ever done.
I mean, dude, I had no idea. I was lost when I first went to Thunderhill. I'd never been there, and I was like, dude, this place is weird. What is going on? And I
You're
talked to
used to
Ezra.
flat button willow, just
Well,
dead
yeah, and
flat. Caught a
Chuckwalla,
couple
right? And
wheelie
Willow,
bumps. Yeah,
Willow Springs,
yeah.
right? So, I asked Ezra, and Ezra's like, yeah, dude, you just gotta and I'm like, what, dude? Like that, I can't ride that way, dude. So I knew you were, I knew you were better at this than that. So I was like, dude, and you told me some stuff, and I immediately went faster. I was like, okay, that's gotta talk to the thinking man's rider, not the other way around,
You know it. You just got to throw it out into the corner and like turn and then like get to the next corner. That's all you got to do and close your
Just
eyes. That's
fucking
it.
hit the thing third gear pin, bro. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's you know, it was a huge ordeal, and you came away with the AFM number 1 plate. So um, what, I'm just gonna pause that line of conversation for just a second, because I was
Yeah.
just reminded about something. So tell me a little bit about how things are nowadays, the last few years versus back in the day, the shenanigans after the racing. Tell me a little bit about the nightlife with you guys, with you, G3, Gray, Ezra, etc.
Oh boy. You're talking about us cruising around on scooters, getting in trouble,
No,
getting
I don't know
passes taken
anything about
away.
that.
Oh, okay. So beyond that, you
No,
didn't
go
hear
ahead. Tell
anything.
it. Tell it. What did you guys do?
So
What were your teenage nightlife hours at the racetrack like? I've heard some
so
things.
Yeah, 2016, 2017, when we were at the races, like all of us KTM kids, we were underneath canopy at some point. I don't quite really remember that. But like all of us would always kind of hang out and do things together, and we'd go out on the racetrack, and then we'd have our utility pit bikes, our Zumas or Groms or whatever, and like that was our time to have fun. We just go terrorize our utility vehicles. Like I remember Road America always being a special one. I hit my head in 2016 and missed Road America, and we showed up at the next round, and there were zip ties like holding my Zuma together, and like the bars were bent, and we're like, what the fuck happened? And like everyone's like, oh, like whoever has that yellow scooter, like they're fucked. We feel bad for them. We're like, well, we have the yellow scooter. Yeah, so they went enduro crossing on our scooters and ripped the shrouds off of it. It's absolutely fantastic. And I think there's a story about Anthony Mazziato, jumping a scooter like 30 feet or something, and his grips coming off and yard sealing a scooter somewhere along there.
That doesn't really surprise me. I mean, I do remember the kids that were close to that age, or maybe a little bit younger than you, or a little bit older than you, maybe 1 year or two. Andrew
Mm-hmm.
Zader and those kids. I don't know if you remember Andrew Zader, but
I do very briefly.
yeah, so those guys would get together, and it was like Tyler Linders. This was like when Michael Gilbert and Jason Ag. And they would, one of them ended up duct taping one of the kids to like the handicap pole outside of the bathrooms at Chuckwalla.
No way.
Yeah, way.
Gosh,
So
we have a couple little moments on that little section too. Like we'd ride our scooters and stuff along that little strip right there next to that pole, or we'd go ripping off through the little pebbles right there and make a big old rut and piss off the Chuckwalla people whenever we go down there. Like we were always just being menaces to society wherever we went.
yeah, well, I mean, that's there was one kid. I think it was at Fontana, and they took. We had just printed the CVMA stickers. That oval.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally handed Andrew Zader and the gang like a stack of them this big, and I was like, "See you guys tomorrow," yeah. And they took those stickers, and I can't remember what the kid's name was. He was like from Arizona, I think, but they took and drew out like a dick and balls like on the side of his trailer, like humongous,
No way.
out of
Just slapped
CVMA
it on there.
stickers.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like some of that stuff would get out of hand sometimes, the nighttime shenanigans stuff at the track, but it's all in good fun, I
Oh
mean,
yeah. You got to do something that you remember, right?
yeah. Yeah, I mean, Ludwig was telling me that one of the Laguna rounds, it was probably 16 maybe. He says that Ruben comes into the motorhome, was like, "Hey, Grandpa, could I borrow the NSR?" And then later, Ezra was like at the top of the hill jumping it off of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one in particular. We like ducked underneath this fence over by one of the campgrounds and rode like halfway to Salinas. Like we got ourselves
Shut
lost out
up.
there. One of the bikes ran out of
Wait.
gas.
What?
Yeah, like
You guys rode halfway to Salinas?
yeah, it was a whole thing, and so we had to ditch one of the scooters, come back with a gas jug, had to get
Oh my
underneath the
god.
fence again. We've got ourselves into some situations.
That's that's I mean, with the way things are and everybody's all like corporate now, like that stuff's so important when you come up, you know?
Yeah, and like I can say, like those KTM years were by far the best with how friendly everyone was with each other. I mean, we're all racing the same stuff. We'd all spend time together. We'd have to work within a little community.
Yeah.
And like that's gone now. Junior Cup is completely different. Even though everyone races Ninja 400s now, you might have a person on a KTM here or Yamaha there, but literally it's so divided. And from what I understand, some of those kids like heavily dislike each other. I'm like, dude, when we were racing, we were beating each other up on the racetrack, and we'd come back and be like, oh yeah, dude, let's go shred some Zumas and steal some beer or something. I don't know, have some fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that too about the Junior Cup, man. Like I've heard they accuse each other of cheating all the time, and like, this guy. I mean, you've watched the races, right? They're taking each other out like crazy every weekend, like bouncing off
It,
each other. Like y'all bounced off each other, but usually you didn't wipe each other out.
Yeah, it seemed to get a little out of hand, but I it's hard to compare it a little bit. I feel like in some ways things have kind of evolved into a different type of racing where it's become so aggressive. Like I feel like no one's really respecting anyone else out there. People are turning into each other. I'm like, dude, like you got to give them some space. Like if we did that on a 600, we'd end up over this K rail all the way over there. Like I know you guys are 14 and stuff, but like calm down. Whew.
You sound like an old man now.
Dude,
You're
I'm
like, back in
20.
my day.
Yeah, I'm settling down. These are my twilight years. I'm just cruising. Come back to the Supersport class. I'm cruising. I even
Nice.
got an Ollie Pop here. Uh, something antibiotics. I don't know. It's good.
Antibiotic drink or probiotic?
That one of those prebiotics.
There you go. There you go. That's
Uh,
I call that
high
hippie
school
juice, but
education.
whatever.
Yeah, that too. I was homeschooled.
Oh, well, that explains a lot, actually.
Yeah. All I had to do was sing my ABCs and I was good.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? All right,
Yeah.
so back to racing shit, yeah? Okay, so you come wrap up the season with the AFN thing, you win the number one plate. Like how does the Melissa I think you rode for Melissa before, right?
I did in 2018. We had a very successful year. Like I was saying, I came up, raced Junior Cup, and um, Melissa signed me after 2017. I got second in the KTM RC Cup Championship,
Yeah.
and I felt like I was a good contender. And Graves Yamaha came out with this great program to race R3s, and Melissa's like, "Boom, this is what we need to do." And so we put all that together, and then the Ninja 400 was launched, and
Yeah.
everyone's like, well, I guess we have to compete against that. So that was a whole year in itself of trying to figure out how to ballast the two bikes to be really good. And, at the start of the year, Melissa and I were scratching our heads, but by the end of it, I came out of it with one win and 9 podiums, and it was pretty cool. I was the only rider to win on a dry race, and we made a great team, and I wanted to do something with them for 2019.
Yeah, and then you quit racing, right?
Not exactly. Like after that, after my year in 19, I mean, I got together with a team. We had a whole plan. We were going to go race all of MotoAmerica because I got kicked out of racing Junior Cup. I guess if you get two top five championship results in a row, you get kicked out of Junior Cup. So I can't go back to Junior Cup, sadly. Boo hoo. So I got kicked up to Supersport and tried to race with the big dogs, and it was tough.
Did you feel that was it tough because I mean, do you feel like you maybe weren't ready to make that big of a jump yet?
I mean, I think I was ready,
Well,
but
let me
there
put
were
it a different way. Like right now, there's like the Junior Cup thing still, right? And then there's the Twins Cup, and then Super Sport. Whereas
yeah,
before, it was like a much larger jump to go to Super Sport, right?
yeah,
So
and
was it
I
that?
think not so much. I think some of it had to do with how stacked it was that year because we had, I think, something like 12 or 13 champions in the field. I mean, there was Bryce Prince, there was Bobby Fong,
SDK,
SDK was
Hayden
in there,
Gillum,
Josh
TJ Jacobson.
Hayes, Nick McFadden. Like it was
Yeah.
so deep. Like I remember I was battling for 14th place and I was pumped. I was like, dude, we made it into the points. And at one point that year, I got a couple top fives, and we were like, dude, we're rolling. Um, but man, like it was so tough. Jason Aguilar was in there too, and I always found myself racing against him. And we were close off the racetrack too. And it was like, oh, this is sweet. But really, looking back, I'm like, dude, we made absolutely nothing doing that.
Hmm.
But it was cool, and like the amount of experience that I gained trying to do that. But like we made $500 off of a top 15 place in Kentucky, and that was it. And I was like, well, okay. I guess we got to try a little bit harder next time. But I mean, the experience there was really cool. I spent more time on the ground that year than I did racing. Would always weed myself up in qualifying and make it really hard on my team and have to come from the back or whatever. And it's already hard enough trying to race against those guys. Let's make a bike not work and see how it rolls in the race.
Yeah.
But,
Let me ask you this, dude. Like, what kind of bikes? What do you have in the garage?
right now I have a Husqvarna FS 450. And I have a YZ 250 FX down at Josh and Melissa's house. They're like trying to get that thing off of me. I think I'm having to pay for a rental space inside their garage.
I can relate to that.
That's all I got for motorcycles right now. I'm a big mountain bike guy.
You're a big mountain bike guy. Yeah, I know Pete Pham was trying to scumbag me into mountain biking too, and I'm like, dude, I'm a roadie, man. You know?
That's right. You got your Super 6.
Yeah. Yep. I ride the Super 6 Evo Cannondale thing. It's been too cold to ride it outside and windy, so I've been doing the Peloton thing upstairs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. So you're a mountain bike guy, huh?
Big mountain bike guy.
Is that like your primary form of training, or do you?
It's kind of I've traded off. I do a lot of road cycling too. This year I spent a lot of preseason on the road bike, but once we got on the road, I mean Josh, Melissa, and we got to do so much cool stuff and see so much stuff. Like we went up to Colorado and did a lot of riding. We went up to Idaho. We came back down to Birmingham and did some riding. Like I bought a long travel Santa Cruz Nomad halfway through the year because I was tired of hitting stuff on my XC bike. I was like, ooh, I want to hit the big stuff. So we spent so much time on mountain bikes as the season went on.
That's awesome, man.
But I've been a huge believer in it for years.
Well, you racing with Melissa, right? With the R7. You basically were like part of their family, right? Like how was that being part of the Hayes traveling circus?
Back in 2018 when I did it the first time, I think I lived with them for 5 or 6 months that year. So I already understood the process. This time was a little bit different. Now I have my driver's license and, I'm doing, I have my own responsibilities here. But I packed all my stuff up out of my parents' house and I'm like, all right, I'm moving in. I'm coming. And, I moved down there, I want to say November, came back for the holidays. And then January 1st hit and Josh and I were on the bicycles and we never left.
Yeah, I remember him telling me, he's like, man, I ain't had no Dr. Pepper in like 3 months.
and hey, don't forget about the Ben and Jerry's. It's very important.
He didn't mention the Ben and Jerry's, but thank you. I will be filing that for later.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you were effectively basically part of the family, right? I mean, were you traveling in the RV with them too, or how was that?
I was driving their big old toter home around the country this year.
Oh,
And like
really?
once we got on the road, I mean, we drove out to Daytona, came back, and then we uh, left for Atlanta. Once we left for Atlanta, I didn't go home until um, I want to say right after Barber, so almost October.
Wow.
Well, besides hitting the Laguna rounds and stuff, I got a little bit of time home and to see my family while we were here in town. But besides that, that was it.
But the cool thing is you kind of got to hang out in the RV thing and travel the country and experience the country, right? Like,
Yeah, it was
not just
so
fly over
crazy.
it.
Exactly. Like you always hear about everyone's like, oh, point A to point B, and there was none of that. We did so much sightseeing and we got to see so much cool stuff. And like I said, the mountain biking was epic. We got to ride some motorcycles, and we even stayed at some other racers' houses. Like we got to see how the Wyman's compound is, and Kyle and his family is absolutely amazing. And it was cool to be able just to enjoy things and leisurely move along.
Yeah.
and
Well, you know what,
experience
dude?
Josh drinking Dr. Peppers every 5 minutes.
Of course. I mean, he's from Mississippi, bro. It's either that or Mountain Dew, right?
No Mountain Dew there,
Well, no,
just Dr.
actually, Mountain
Pepper.
Dew is more like Oklahoma. They call it hee haw there, actually.
I don't know anyone that drinks Mountain Dew.
Well, that's definitely a southern thing, man. Like they would even use Mountain Dew in their mixed drinks, drinking Crown Royal and Mountain Dew, like that kind of shit.
Oh
So
boy.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, Mountain Dew, I remember it being called hee haw by some friends of mine in Oklahoma, and I was like, oh my god, this is amazing, right?
Hee-haw.
Okay,
Wow.
so I got some questions coming in by people watching this. So Brian Green, actually, I think I already have a bunch of questions from him from before we started, and it looks like I've got a few from him now. But you know, what's your best tip for a quicker lap on Thunderhill?
For Thunder Hill, it's that's a tough place. Lap times there are kind of by the day. It's a weird place. One weekend you'll be doing 52s. The next weekend you'll be doing 49s, and it's a very weird place. But the best thing I can say about that is backing everything up a little bit, braking a little bit earlier, and picking up the throttle earlier, and just getting a good flow. That place is a little weird with the lines. You have to really focus on getting yourself pointed in the right direction before being able to accelerate. And I would say just kind of pacing, being a little bit more patient with everything you do will make it 100 times easier to go faster around there.
Wow, man. You know, I mean, I raced my R1 there, right? And the one area of the track, most of the track, I was like, okay, this is my jam, you know. But it was at towards the bottom of that hill down the back straight thing, you know.
Hmm.
And there's a little right at the bottom, but on the
Yeah.
approach, that little blocks the view of the rest of the straight. So it looks like the turn is right there. And I mean, I knew it, but I still would see it and I would fall for it every time. I was like, dude, god damn it.
You have to get the kahunas just to get over that little bump, and there you can grab your brakes on that other downhill side.
Yeah. Yeah, Ezra was trying to get me to like break at the top of it, and I'm like, man, that's like so much commitment, dude. Like it's scary. Like,
It's so fast.
right?
Yeah.
So, okay. Let's see. I got a few coming in from Chris from the Pin the Gas podcast. They probably want to talk to you on their podcast too, by the way. Um, so he says he wants to know what your favorite track is. And I'm gonna tell you really quick, the last few people I've spoken to have said Road America.
Oh, that was the first one that came to mind. Like it's tough for me. I've been to a lot of cool different tracks. I want to say my favorite track is Laguna. I mean, it's basically my backyard. I've had a lot of success there, and I feel like I got something special around that place. But man, Road America is so much fun. Like I want to say I have like a three-way tie between Laguna, Road America, and Mazzano. Those three.
Mizzano.
Yeah.
Okay, you went. Oh, did you do the KTM Cup thing over there? Is that what happened? Or
No, I did that in Jerez. Jerez was pretty cool too, but it didn't match the level of Mazzano.
so how did you raced at Mizzano?
I didn't race at Mazzano. I got to do a couple laps there when I went
Okay.
over for the VR46 Master Camp thing.
Okay. Well, you know what? Tell me about the VR46 Master Camp thing, because like, what the fuck is that about? Like, you got to go ride with Valentino? I mean,
Yeah.
correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I'm probably way wrong, but it's sort of like the way I interpret the VR46 Academy. It's sort of like Valentino's version of Super Camp or Mystery School.
Uh, I think the academy is a little bit more like they have a group together. I feel like having elevated riders all together in one place to push each other is always really good to keep you on your toes at all times. I mean, we kind of do the same thing here. Josh tries really hard to always have a good group of guys around him, to always be elevating the level. But the master camp is a little bit more to give us an insight of what the GP guys do. I was a little bit disappointed with what they did with us. It was more of a promotional thing, but we still got to like do some training. We got to spend some laps on their simulator, just see how daily lives are for them. But we also got to do some testing. We got to ride Valentino's track, the dirt track, and got to do some motocross. And my favorite part of it was having Josh be my chaperone and freaking sit there and just watch us do our thing. And he's just sitting there with red nose, and steam was coming out of his ears. His arms were crossed, and he was mad as can be. And like they're telling us what to do, and Josh is like, "Hey, like this is how it needs to be done. Like this is what you got to do."
So Josh is like listening to them coach you guys, and he's like, "No, that's wrong. You got to do it this way."
A little bit, not a whole lot. But it was funny to see them do some dirt track. Like we all do a little bit of dirt track here, and like they have a little bit more of an interesting style. And I would say like that is probably what I'm a little bit better at. So I was able to keep up with the VR46 Academy riders a little bit more. They're like, "Oh, you kind of understand this." I was like, "Yeah, this is what I do."
Nice. All right, so let's see. Let's go through some of our other questions. The Brian Green, he's got a couple of good ones. I'm going to save one of them for later. But okay, so beyond cardio stuff, like what's the big advantage of training on a road bike or a mountain bike?
I would say mental. Putting in the long hours on a road bike is tough. Like trying to just keep on going. If it comes from going and riding the hills or just staying on the flats, just putting in the work. It like for me, riding the road bike is just to clear my mind a little bit, just get a second thought on everything that's going on, kind of slow things down a little bit. But mountain bikes completely different. Like you have things coming at you so quick, and you have to quickly commit to things. Like me growing up as a kid, I'm the most uncoordinated person there ever was. I'm terrible when it comes to like naturally talented or ability to do things. I've had to like train myself to do that. So mountain biking has been the best thing for me to keep me on my toes and always be prepared for what's coming at me and for me to choose what I got to do.
Dude, Aguilar used to say the same shit to me all the time. He's like, "Man, can't be so gay and ride that fucking road bike." His like deep ass voice.
Yeah.
I can't even do it. Like Aguilar's voice was so deep, right? And he would scumbag me so bad about being a roadie. It was fun though. I miss
You
that
got to
dude.
have both, but yeah, me too. And yeah, the mountain bikes, I would put on a superior level.
So you're not like going to the gym and lifting weights and crap.
No, I've never stepped foot in the gym. I thought about getting my gym membership this year, but
I
I'm like,
mean, you look like a gym rat. I mean, you're yoked and everything,
dude,
right?
I'm so bulky and tough. I think I got a solid like 3 inches around my bicep over here. I'm feeling it today.
Oh, I mean, between you and Nick Einach, I mean, whew, man, the pose off,
Oh,
right?
lifting up this ollie pop over here is just straining the muscles. I'm working out.
Oh my goodness, you're so funny. That's great. Okay, so let's see what else we got here. Um, I was gonna ask, like, uh, Bearded Jixer asks about the 750. I'm gonna ask that in here in a little bit, but all right. Did did you move? Oh, okay. So, JC from Motorcycle Upholstery. I think you've met JC, maybe.
Yeah, I met JC on a couple occasions.
Yeah. So, JC wants to know: did you move out of state with your girlfriend? And is Cory
Yeah,
riding the dirt this February at Josh's house for J Force?
I'm not sure if
Jesus,
I'll be
that's
down
awfully
there.
specific.
Yeah, I didn't know Josh had something lined up. I have no plans with Josh at this moment, but yeah, I'm moved my stuff out to Kansas City. That's where I want to be based out of for this year, kind of a little bit more center for the series.
Yeah.
I've lived in California my whole life. I thought I'd change it up a little bit.
Oddly enough, I moved to California from Kansas City
No
25
way.
years ago. Yeah.
Where were
Yep.
you at?
I was uh I was off of Holmes and 100th Street by kind of by I-435.
Okay. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
I'm still a little new. Like we're way down in South Kansas City
Yeah.
by Grandview.
Yeah, that's where I lived. Matter of fact,
Really?
I lived right next to Grandview, my first college dorm room kind of thing.
No way.
Yeah, way.
That's awesome.
I lived in these
I
like shitty apartments off of I-71.
I love it down there. Like we're right in Hickman Mills, which is I could hit a golf ball to Grandview.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I absolutely love it. The mountain bike in there is epic.
Yeah, in that area, I would imagine so. Yeah. I mean, I was too busy freezing to death and studying to be a nerd. Um, I didn't really get to do much of that. But yeah, dude, you stay in Missouri long enough, who knows, man? You might throw a V8 and an S10 or something. Or a
That's my
Suzuki
plan for next
Samurai, right?
week. Yeah,
What?
I heard that's a cool thing to do. That's what's going on next week.
Yeah. Yeah, oddly enough, in Grandview, this is really funny. I'm just gonna throw something out there. It's gonna make you laugh. When I was in college, I drove a lowrider Chevy S10, and
No way.
and I was hanging out with these group of dipshits that was like a mini truck club, and they called themselves Show Me Minis.
No. Dustin's right there in the middle of that. I can totally see it. Oh
I
my
mean, you've seen
gosh.
my bike, dude. Like, you know what's what.
Yeah. You got that shiny blue sparkly on your S10. You probably got some chrome spinny rims or something.
I mean, if Cormoto made spinning wheels, I'd probably have them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, enjoy your time at Missouri. I guess eat lots of barbecue. I mean, that's like a food group there, right?
Yeah, no, the barbecue's amazing. You're talking about the whole cold thing. Like 20 degrees was about my limit. My girlfriend made me get up on the roof and clean out the gutters, and I was like, all right, I had enough. So I tapped out and came back to California. Right now, it's like negative 35 and wind chill, and here I'm sitting at it's 7 o'clock at night and it's 57 degrees. So I'm enjoying this here.
I would imagine so, man. I would imagine so. Kansas City in the wintertime sucks.
Yeah, I had to get out of there.
Yeah, that's hilarious, dude. All right, so you've you spent the year with Melissa on the R7, and you actually raced it. You rode the thing pretty stock at Buttonwillow at the start of the season when one of my customers smashed into the back of you. But you you actually rode the R7 and raced it, and the internet kind of still shits on that thing. Ever since it came out, most of the people shitting on it never ridden one before and probably won't. Never rode the old one before.
Hmm.
Like, tell me a little bit about racing the R7. I mean, you could start off with getting smashed from behind on a fairly
Oh
stalker.
man, I was debating on if
I heard you
I
tried
was
to pick a
wondering if you,
fight at my track day. That's what it was.
dude, yeah, I was wondering if you were gonna bring it up, but
You
yeah,
know I'm
Melissa and
gonna.
I should know better. It's Dustin. Come on now.
Right.
Yeah, like my first time riding the thing. We come to Dustin's track day at Buttonwillow. It's nice and sunny outside. We're trying to figure this thing out a little bit. Like we don't have my motor in it, and we just have a chassis. Like Melissa just built this bike the day before, stayed up all just to make it there. And I'm riding, and I just got ass packed going into turn two. I believe I passed the dude, and then he like forgot to brake for the corner or something, or target fixated, and absolutely murdered me. I don't know how I kept it on two wheels, but I made it, and some dude came into the pits after the red flag, and I'm like, hey, Melly, like we have a problem. Like I just got ass packed, and like they're looking at my bike and like ripping off like I ripped off a shroud and we bent the the wheel cockeyed in there and was sliced a tire. And Melissa's like, dude, you got freaking some damage. Like, this thing's fucked up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I got ass packed. And so that was a whole thing. And his buddy comes running up and he like gets up in my face. And Melissa's like, oh no, this ain't happening. And like, this dude's in full gear. And Melissa's freaking chest to chest with him. And Melissa's like a good solid, what would you say, 5'6", 5'5"
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah, 120 pounds.
Yeah.
And this dude's like 6'4", I don't know, 230.
Yeah.
Looking
He was a
down into,
big dude. And
yeah,
Melissa like full on went full mama bear, right?
yeah. She's like, if you're gonna fucking get in my face, I'm gonna fuck you up. And like, I was like, oh my gosh, this is wild.
Oh
And
man.
like, we just met the A Racer guy like less than 30 minutes ago. This poor guy, Kai, and he has no idea what he's getting himself into. And I'm just like, well, I guess we're gonna go back to the pit. And Melissa's like, yeah, fuck off, get out of here. And
Oh
get
man.
over there and we debrief. And she's like, well, you know, I think everything is gonna be okay. And I'm like a little bit shaken. I'm like, dude, I've never experienced this before. This is gnarly. And
Dude.
she's like, well, you know, we're not a team. We're a fucking gang. We're gonna fuck them up. And I was just like, oh, okay,
Oh,
okay,
this is great.
yeah. So that was my first experience on the R7, and like since then, like it has evolved so much. And I would say we definitely had a little bit more of a tough year with that thing. It is an amazing motorcycle. It took us a while to get used to it, though. Like the way it works, it's a little bit different than normal motorcycles. And we were basically racing mini superbikes this year. We threw everything at it, and we got ourselves a little confused. But I want to say, come Laguna, we found some things, and I think I was on the best bike on the grid.
I mean, look, you were competitive every time on the thing, when you didn't throw the thing down the road. Um,
Yeah, that happened quite a few times.
like, I mean, let's just say it. Like, how many of those shits did you throw down the road and make Melissa go to work?
Dude, too many. I crashed two in one day. I had a big get off in Virginia, and I completely tore up the front end, and we get the thing put together for the race, and then like 6 laps into the race, I had no front brakes, and I was just like trying not to freaking run into the back of someone, and I tucked the front again. I'm like, dude, what am I doing out here? Um, but yeah, it was a huge learning curve for me, and I struggled from racing 600s the last couple years. I wanted to ride it my way. I wanted to corner charge it a little bit harder and get myself pointed. It's just not how I wanted me to ride it.
So, since you've kind of raced both bikes in Twins Cup, by the way, this is a Mike C question. I'm not sure if that's Canfield or not. It might be.
Okay.
Since you rode both of them in Twins Cup, can you compare the two bikes, the 660 thing and the R7?
I can. Um, but my perception's a little different. So 2021 Aprilia, I think, is a little bit different than the bikes that they raced with this year, or that's come a long way since then. But the Aprilia was a great chassis platform. I feel like the Aprilia didn't have as much top end as the R7 did. Equal coming off of the corner, I want to say. But the chassis, I would say, on the Aprilia was definitely better. I struggled with the chassis at the R7. It had so much flex, and I think some of that has to do with, it comes off the showroom floor with 66 horsepower or something, and I want to say we were racing them close to 100 horsepower. It just
Dude,
wasn't built or made for that.
it's like a $9,000 bike. Like,
Yeah,
the Aprilia 660 is quite a bit more than that, yeah?
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
No. And like, if I had to choose a bike at the end of the year, like I said, I felt like I was on the best bike on the grid. Melissa did an amazing job at giving me what I needed and giving my the resources that I needed to make that thing work.
So, at some point during the season, I think it was, I don't know how far into the season, Sam Lonkoff was injured and had to go step away. How did you end up on that thing? Well, and then how was it racing two bikes in every weekend?
Oh my gosh. So we're driving home from the Ridge, and like, to be honest with you, my results up to that point were fucking terrible for me. I was sitting there like going to bed every night like this. I'm like, I'm not meant to race motorcycles anymore. Like, I can't figure this thing out. And I think Josh and Melissa were talking to John Ulrich,
Yep.
and Chris Ulrich, and they said that Sam was hurt and they're looking at possibly putting me on the thing. And Josh comes into his fifth wheel, and like, he's making coffee or something. We're at a rest stop somewhere. The dog out there is taking a crap. Huckleberry needs to run around, and Hawk needs to throw Cheerios somewhere other than the inside of Josh's truck. And Josh is like, hey, like, I just got to tell you something. And he's like, I don't think it's going to happen, but just so you know, like, we're talking to JU about possibly putting you on the 750 this next weekend. And I'm looking at him and I'm confused. I'm like, wait, um, like, can you repeat that? And he's like, yeah, like, they're thinking about putting you on the bike. Sam's hurt and they need a rider for it. He's like, it's a long shot. Don't get your hopes up.
Wow.
I don't think it'll happen. And I'm like, my heart just went from like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, to fucking smashed and obliterated like 1,000 pieces. But between then and Laguna, it worked out, and I jumped up on that thing. And I didn't see the bike till Thursday at Laguna, so it was fresh for me. I walked over to the team. I got to take some photos, and I'm a Yamaha rider, and we're trying to keep everything on the down low as much as possible. But I need to take this opportunity, and it was super cool to jump underneath that canopy and also compare it to Melissa's program. And I know Jeremy Toy and everyone over
Yeah.
there, and it was super cool to be able to work with them, and that made it a little bit easier for me. But to jump on two different bikes in one weekend, something I've never done before, was tough.
Yeah.
But
I
it
mean,
was
think about this though. I mean, back in the day, like 20 something years ago, I mean, it was pretty common for people to race both 600 Supersport and Superbike,
yeah.
you know?
And Formula Extreme, no, for sure. And Josh told me that all the time. He's like, dude, I think this will be great for you. And to try a couple, able to see the racetrack more and get some ideas from racing the 750, and vice versa. Some stuff for the R7 might translate to the 750.
That's cool, man. So, how was the 750? Now that you're going to
Oh,
race one again, but like, how was it?
dude, it was so good. And I like jumping off of the R7 to jumping on something a little bit more what I'm used to.
Faster,
Um,
down the
yeah, it
streets?
felt like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
Um, but no, it's so good. And unlike all the 600s that I've raced, the chassis was, um, how should I say this? You can freaking do whatever you wanted to that thing and it would just take it. Like, that bike was so neutral and so stable. I could grab the front brakes in the middle of the corner and it wouldn't do anything. And I was just like, what is this thing? Completely different beast. I can say for sure I got out of control a couple times. Little bit of power, I'm a little boy over here. I'm slowly getting through the
Start
ranks.
drinking milk, dude. Like, come on.
Dude, hey, I I need a couple more iced vanilla lattes in me.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
The get white girl wasted, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But start fidgeting over here.
Yeah.
But no, the 750 was so good, and I'm excited to continue on with that this year. I struggled translating between the R7 and the 750, but the more time I've spent on the 750, just focusing on that, I feel like it is such a good platform, and I'm very curious to see how things are going to roll into this year with the new gen rules.
So how did that come about? Like the Disrupt team, that's the team Hayden Gillum rode for, right? On the
Yeah,
Superbike.
so this all kind of came through like as the year went on. I'm like, iRace and Forest are leathers, and they do an absolutely amazing job. And they're over there with Hayden. I also really like Hayden, someone that's a little bit more in my circle of friends. Like, just working with Josh and Melissa, he was renting from Josh and Melissa back in 2018. So it's a familiar face, and I spent some time with them in Kentucky. So um, we're friends, and I'm like, dude, I want to come over there and spend some time with you. And between my sponsors, they made it all happen, and it's the place where I wanted to be.
That's fair. All right, let's get to some more fan comments. I'm going to go back to Brian Green first because I was saving this one for later. But who do you feel is the favorite to win the title now in that class since Josh is in Superbike? And are you bummed that you're not going to get to race him against him this year?
In Supersport, I'm assuming what you're saying.
Yeah, you know
Uh,
the number two is
you
not in
know,
Supersport anymore.
I'm bummed that the number two is not going to be in there because I took a couple shots at him at Brainerd this year, and from what I understood, he didn't like it too much. Um, but good for him getting back up into Superbike. I hope the best for him. He's got a tough field to come up against. Um, Man, it's going to be tough. I'm not sure who all is going to be doing what, but Chubby Flores, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think me on the Disrupt bike, they're going to have something to fight against.
Oh shit. Okay, so let's see. There's a few more comments here. August Nord says, looking back, was taking time off from racing the right thing to do career wise?
I mean, I got a little lucky with the timing with COVID hitting and everything, and kind of everything slowed down and
Yeah.
stopped. So my timing couldn't have been better. But I think for me, in many ways, it showed that I wanted to keep doing this. Like you know how things are. You get into it, and you just at some point it just becomes repetition. Like you just start going through the motions, and it
Yeah.
doesn't become as much fun. Where
It's
for
like you're
me,
on
I was like,
autopilot, right?
yeah, I was like, I could kind of care less about this. And then a couple months go by, and I'm like, well, actually, this really bugs me. I want to do this.
Okay, that's fair.
So it re-sparked me, and I got back to work.
Okay, so multi bad base. He says that he's met you, Josh, and Rocco when you stopped at Arroyo in New Mexico to test before round one last year.
Hmm.
You should tell people about our track. Not a lot of people know about it other than the fact that it's bumpy.
It's actually not that bumpy. There are a couple little bumps around it, but yeah, Arroyo Seco, right in New Mexico, I kicked off my season after I got ass packed by a Ducati.
Yeah,
On our
V4R,
way,
by the way.
yeah, on our way to Atlanta, we stopped in at this little track, Arroyo Seco, and I did testing with my chassis tech, Evan Steele, and that track is bitching. It's a little place off of Highway 10, I think, and it's a great bike to get down to work. I'd love to get back out there at some point.
Yeah, I mean, dude, there's these great tracks in the middle of nowhere, like kind of not far from the 10, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's that little track in Wilcox, Arizona called Indy, right?
yeah.
And
I've
and then a
never
little
been to
bit
Indy, but I've heard great things.
I mean, it's south of the 10, but I mean, it's fucking half hour away, maybe. Podium Club in Casa Grande, Arizona, which is a little bit south of Phoenix. Have you been to that one yet?
No, I've heard about that too.
Dude, CRA is going to race at Podium Club this year.
Really
Yeah, dude. We're road tripping to Podium Club, and it's going to be super fun.
cool.
I was
I
just
might have to
talking.
jump in there.
Oh my God, dude, you have to. It's in April. I don't think it conflicts with MotoAmerica either. So,
All
um,
right.
but yeah, like I just talked to the track manager today, and he's all stoked to have us. And the place is it's just like this weird oasis in the middle of the desert, right? But it's amazing. It is amazing. Like the pavement there is so legit. Like you drag your knee on the surface, and you're like, is my knee down? I don't know.
I
Like
did.
did you put enough oil on the You know, it's really strange. Like the feeling when your knee is dragging on that super smooth pavement. We're used to racing at places like Buttonwillow, right? Like and
Yeah,
Chuckwalla and whatever, right? Or Willow Springs. And the cheese grater asphalt, right? But then
yeah.
this thing is like it's just butter. dude, and it has massive grip. So,
Hey, that might be my place to finally get a photo with my elbow down or something.
dude, usually when I get my elbow down, it's usually followed by, other things. The rest of
Yeah,
my
your
body,
butt, shoulder, head.
face. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. Um, let's see what else. Okay, so we got some more questions coming in. Let's see. Brian's asking, in your times that you raced Supersport this year, who was your favorite person to race against? I was going to say that anyway. Like, who's your favorite competitor, or who's your toughest competitor? Both.
Oh man. So I think you'll already know the answer coming to this one. Like,
Passive
gosh.
phobiaing.
Hey, he didn't even race Super Sport this
I
year.
know. I'm just giving you shit.
Dude,
Rocco.
hey, that was one of my answers coming up. So Rocco was a tough competitor when I jumped on that 750. I didn't have anything for him this year. Last year, on the other hand, I had him. But no, Brainerd this year, he was on a whole nother level. And he was perfectly smooth. But my favorite battle of the year was when I raced with Josh and Brainerd, both Joshes actually, Heron and Hayes. And let me just tell you, there's nothing like spending time with someone, living with them day in, day out, watching him drink 25 Dr. Peppers and, eating ice cream. And, he's 47 years old and he talks about his back pain. And, I'm out there putting in work on the bicycle and he's still able to get on a 600 and take me to Browntown. 2 corners to go, pass me on the last lap. Like my brain exploded in my helmet crossing the finish line. But
He
racing
took you to
with those guys and their
Browntown.
experience.
He took
Yeah,
you to Browntown. What the fuck does that mean? Is that like a local Hayes thing? Like, what is
dude.
that?
How have you never heard that? He whipped my ass. Yeah,
Okay.
Browntown.
Browntown. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
filing that too. That's great. Appreciate that.
Um, but yeah, like riding with both Heron and Hayes, like the amount of experience was second to none. And I tried to learn as much as I can. And I hate losing, and I hate losing to people close to me. And I'll learn from that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna ask you, like, after you got beat up or taken to Browntown, like, what was it like at home after that? Like, how long? I mean, does he still not let you live it down? Is he still talking about the last lap
So
shit?
no, that like ended within a week. Like I so really the main thing is Blake Davis and I were racing in Twins Cup the day before, and I made the same mistake, not only in that race, but in the Supersport race with him. So that gave him all the fuel to just eat me alive until the next weekend, which I think was Pittsburgh or something, or we were traveling.
Yeah.
And like I made the same mistake twice, and luckily one race it worked out, and then one race I was racing against him, and he was like, "Dude, like if we were in the backyard racing, would you have fucking done that?" And I was like, "Why would I do that?" And he was like, "Well, you fucking did it today, and it cost you a fucking podium and money." He was like, "You're a fucking idiot." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, you know, you got me on that one." But I like to think, me hearing about it for a week at a time. And Melissa was hilarious about it too. We're sitting there and she's like, "Hey, good race." Like came over to me after and she's like, "Are you good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like I was butthurt. I was so butthurt. Like I had to go sit in the RV for an hour just to like calm down. Like I had to load up the trailer and shit. Like I was like, fuck that. I just need to regain myself. Right now I just want to like punch Josh in the balls or something. Like I was so mad, but he didn't give it up to me. He like his claim is, if you beat me, you earned it. So, but no, after that, like after about a week of time, I was like, you know what? I may have liked it better this way because if I would have beat him, he'd never hear the end of it, and for sure I would have gotten punched in the balls or something.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude,
Rightfully
like,
so. Rightfully
yeah,
so.
right
How
at
dare
Park
you
for May
not
or
respect
something.
your elders?
Yeah, or he would have put some Miralax or something in my Ollie Pops or LaCroix or whatever I'm drinking. Like there would have been some things for sure, but it's all out of love.
All right, so here's one. You're gonna love this one from Hayden Schultz.
Oh,
Hayden Schultz says, Cory, now that you're out of Twins Cup, will you be my umbrella guy at Daytona?
100%. Hey, at first I got to make it to Daytona. If I get a flight there, 100%. But I need a little crop top.
Fishnet.
Yeah, fishnet crop top.
Yes. So you're not planning on racing Daytona then?
Right now we're talking about it. Right, it's a lot of money to go do an exhibition race, and trying to find the right crew is tough. I want to make it work really badly, but we'll see.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Well, if you're there and I see you wearing a fishnet crop top, holding an umbrella for Hayden Schultz, I will definitely take a photo of it and post it.
Perfect. You know what? At that, I'll drive down to one of the CRA races, and I'll be your umbrella girl for the podium.
You promise?
In that fishnet crop top.
Oh,
Maybe
my
I'll even
goodness.
throw some high heels on or something.
Okay, dude. It's on the internet now, so like it's got to be true, right?
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think being reminded that we just have a new shirt idea, T-shirt idea. The last few podcasts I've had a guest on, and they say some shit to me, and it ends up on a T-shirt, right? So
Yeah.
Melissa's was scumbags with honor, with regards to motorcycle racers, and then Ken Hill said, "This ain't bowling," because like in bowling, you make a mistake, you get a gutter ball or something, you don't end up in the hospital, right?
Yeah.
And then Stefano Mesa's was sometimes you got to get aggressive and take somebody out. Obviously, we left that part off the T-shirt, the take somebody out part, but sometimes you got to get aggressive. And then, so yours is, I just got taken to Browntown. Dude, I'm actually texting. I'm texting my shirt lady right now. I'm like, hey, we need another one.
I already know who the first 3 orders are going to be. That's going to be Josh, Melissa, and then Josh again.
Yes, yes, yes.
Oh man.
A V&M crop top. I don't know what a V&M crop top means, but yeah, I don't know, dude. But yeah, so thank you. We'll make those shirts, and I'll make sure you get one when we make it. So
Yeah.
you just got taken to Browntown.
Oh man.
Yeah, man, it's happening. It's happening. Okay, so you're maybe gonna do Daytona. You want to do Daytona, right?
I do want to do Daytona.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, so you got this new Disrupt team that you're gonna work with, and you're riding the 750 and Supersport next gen rules, obviously. So your bike is basically the same thing as what the M4 bikes are, right? Like the ride-by-wire electronic throttle thing, and it's the 750.
I believe the only difference is that we'll be on K-Tech instead of Olin's.
Oh, have you ridden on K-Tech stuff before?
I did my first test with the team. All my years in the past have always been Olin stuff, but the K-Tech stuff is really good. I was so surprised when I jumped up on the bike. I mean, I think they did a great job this year to develop the bike. But when I first jumped on it, it was really good platform, and I'm excited to make improvements on it.
So, I mean, with the recent passing of Lenny, the K-Tech guy, like, who are they gonna have be like the official K-Tech dude? Is it gonna be Kendall?
I'm not sure exactly.
Yeah, there's a dude on the East Coast. I think his company's called like Triple T Suspension. His name's Kendall, and last couple years I've gotten to hang out with Kendall at Barber and Daytona a little bit. Super good guy. Like I'm guessing you're gonna working with him on the K-Tech stuff. I don't know who else works on K-Tech stuff. I don't even know.
I don't know either. This is all still super new to me. I believe Mark, Hayden's crew chief, does all of our stuff on the team. But I'm sure I'll get to meet the guys and everyone.
Right on, right on. So you've gotten to test the bike recently, right?
Yeah, went out to
And
Roebling. What was it, 17th,
you went to
18th
Georgia?
to Georgia? Yeah.
Good times.
No,
Okay.
it was bitching. I went out to that track with Melissa earlier this year, and so I had a couple laps already. Jumped up on the 750 and got right down to work, and it's a force to be reckoned with.
Okay, so what you're saying is you're a force to be reckoned with this year on that Supersport bike. Is that what you're saying?
Uh, we'll see.
I'm gonna
We'll
be
see.
rooting for you, man. Even though you're not on a Yamaha, I mean, you sold your soul to Suzuki or whatever.
Yeah, you
I
know,
mean, I know, I said that just because I'm in the paddock with the attack team, right? And I talked to Tom Halverson quite a bit, and I know that Tom thinks pretty highly of you. He
yeah.
says good things.
I can't say it wasn't hard to leave
Yeah.
Yamaha again. Like I've always bled blue blood, and I've kind of been in and out the last couple years, and coming and racing the R7 this year kind of felt like homecoming a little bit. Like got the band back together, had everyone together. Um, but I'm really excited to race a Suzuki.
Well, fair enough. Fair enough. All right. So, somebody, I don't know why somebody asked this. I don't remember who. I didn't write down who asked this earlier. I just wrote the note down. But in MotoAmerica, do they do performance drug testing on you guys? Do you get check you
Uh,
for roids?
I've never been checked. I heard that there are people that do though,
Okay.
but it's never come around to
Do they
me.
check you for other kind of drugs? Like,
Uh, Again, I've never been checked, so maybe
okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
question mark.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like Ron Burgundy over here, dude. I just ask everybody's questions regardless of how dumb it sounds. But yeah. Okay, so I got a couple more questions. Let's see here. Bearded Jixer, the guy's name's Ernie. Actually, he races with us at CRA. Um, Obviously, he rides a GSXR as well. He wants to know if I could ask you how you approach racing at a track you've never raced before. Like, what do you initially focus on? Like, what's your mindset?
Uh, I'll start off with coming into the weekend. I want to at least get eyes around the racetrack, look at the track map a little bit, um, just to kind of get an idea of which way it flows. Um, and as soon as I ride the track, it'll be a completely different idea than what I came in with. And then slowly get to work from there. I want to find my braking zones as quick as possible and just start off with trying to hit my brake markers, trying to see where I want to apex and pivot the bike to see which way I want to go. But a lot of patience, a lot of patience when I'm first getting around. And then once I get into the swing of things, okay, I can do this different. I can do this different.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, and then let's see here. Actually the two questions I wrote down. We've already kind of gotten to them. One guy is describing what it was like to ride in the academy, and then the other one was about um, here's a good one. Does the 750 have any advantages over the other super sport bikes that you've ridden?
It definitely has some advantages, like being able to fight with the 750 is so much easier. You're able to get off of the corner just with the torque. You can have yourself pointed in the direction a little bit easier, but it takes a lot of patience, and you have to be extremely smooth. My number one issue with the 750 is how that throttle engages with it being throttled by a wire. The torquiness of it is a whole nother level to me. I can't keep the tire wheels in line, but for sure getting off of the corner is easier than the 600. But with that being said, I think it's harder to ride the bike in a race pace situation. Like, I think it's easier to get a lap time out of a 600 than it is to do it with the 750. But when it comes to racing, I think the 750 is a little bit easier.
Hmm. That's an interesting insight. I wouldn't have thought that. I mean, I remember when there was a 750 Super Stock and a 600 Super Sport in the old AMA days. It was pretty common for the 600s to be quite a bit faster lap time wise than the 750s. But
Yeah,
now, I mean, Suzuki's the only one making 750 still, right? So, kind of makes sense. I mean, the thing makes more power, more torque, you know. So,
yeah.
the old no replacement for displacement, right?
For
So,
sure. And like, I'm not sure if you know too much about my program, but we have both the 600 and a 750. And we're thinking about possibly riding different bikes at different rounds,
oh,
depending on what we think will be best. I think we'll probably stick to the 750 a little bit more, just so everything's always the same and we don't try and get too many things into the program. But it's there as an option.
that's cool, man. That, give you the option, like if you're on a track that the 600 does better, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, back in the day,
And
it used to be like a 2 second thing.
yeah, and for sure, like uh, something with me this year, I smushed a 750 flat at Brainerd in qualifying, and we couldn't get it back together. So they rolled out a 600 from the year before, and I went almost a second faster on the 600 than I did on the 750. Never spinning a lap on it, nothing. The bike barely ran when I was pulling up to grid on the first time. Like, it wasn't ran for the first time in 6 months. Like, they were putting the front fender on when the 1 minute board was out. Like, we barely made it out in time on the 600, and I ended up going almost a second faster on it.
I'm being, I'm reading a couple of comments right now. There's Chris McGuire's watching now too, which is fun.
Oh boy.
And Aiden is Frosty. I don't know who that is. But anyway, so Chris McGuire says, "Hi, CV. Let's talk about your race with Josh Hayes. I think he came on late because we kind of already talked about that, Chris. Like you missed it. And then, how different is the Disrupt 750 besides the suspension? Like, it's pretty much the same.
Uh, it's kind of comparing apples to oranges right now. We don't exactly have the electronics set up on this 750 in particular just yet. Um, but I want to say chassis wise is pretty close right now.
Right on. And then here's a good one. Brian Green, thank you for the excellent questions, buddy. Um, with the new rules, the next gen Supersport rules, the bikes are kind of equaled out, right? With
Hmm.
whatever they plug that shit into the bike and take away power and stuff, right? Um, so, are you saying that with the torque of the 750, even the neutered power on the 750, you know, is still better than the 600?
I wouldn't say better than. Um, I'd say that it's still easier to fight with torque wise. Still being able to get off the corners better. I mean, it's definitely tough trying to get your shifts in before you hit the red line because they do take revs away and the torque curve is different. But like you were saying about displacement, it spins up quite a bit quicker. Um, but with that, we also lose some top end. On the 600, I was 2 mile an hour quicker on the straightaway than I was on the 750.
Really?
It's kind of a weird thing. It definitely has advantages, but also has disadvantages.
That's fair. I love that it's real talk about this too, because there's a lot of horseshit on the internet that people talk about. Oh, the 600's like a disadvantage, and the Ducati is just, and from what I understand, the Ducati was kind of a pile of shit to ride. Like I heard it was like a street bike basically compared to what you guys are riding.
And it didn't seem all that fast to me.
Yeah.
Um, but also, I wasn't drinking beers and jumping on that thing.
Okay. Well, every now and then the Ducati guys have to have a Diet Coors, right? I mean, that's,
Uh,
Just
maybe.
leave it at that. So Aiden is Frosty wants to know, what's your expectation for this season?
It's a new team for me. I have a lot of big expectations for myself. I feel like I'm one of the better riders out there, and I've had my years on 600s. I have a little bit of experience with the 750, and my team is giving me a lot of confidence. I feel like we can run for something big here. I think we definitely have a lot to learn, but we're just going to take it step by step and race by race.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, I'm going to ask you something. This is actually really cool because I was there and I got to watch it. Like I was trackside. I got to high five you after. Um, at Laguna Seca, you're riding your own bike, privateer effort 2021, and you go out and you're in the front in the 600s, right? And you've got Richie Escalante with that huge effort behind you for quite a bit of the race. I think he finally got back by you,
Mm-hmm.
but did that did after that happen? Did you like sit to yourself and like, okay, I could run with these dudes? Did it like give you a confidence boost knowing that you could run with them, or was it that you're kind of a Laguna specialist, like you kind of said
Uh,
earlier?
I would say I'm a like I'm for sure a Laguna specialist actually. I think there's a little bit of something special there, but no, I feel like I can do that at every racetrack that we go to. Um,
But did that give you a boost to let you know to remind you that of that fact, or
I
did you just already know?
I feel like I already knew a little bit.
Okay,
The
cocky.
year
Okay,
prior in 2020, we did pretty good. I was riding with JD Beach. He was on an HSBK bike, and I
that's right.
remember being up there with him, and I was like, "Holy shit! I've been watching this kid, or he not a kid. He's a full grown man. But I remember watching JD when I was a kid, and like,
Right.
oh my gosh, I'm racing with JD, and like I've known about that, and even we'll go back as far as 2019. I had battles with SDK at Barber before I wadded my brains up on the R6, and I remember racing against Hayden Gillum. I passed Hayden one of the races, and we were talking about it afterwards, and he was like, "Dude, you were fucking on it. Like I had to come up with some shit to try and figure out whatever you were doing." And I was a turning point at some point when I was on the 600, but I feel like it's always been there, and I just got to get back to it
Is is Superbikes in your future, you think?
for sure. For sure. My goal this year was to get up on a stock 1000 bike. I like to ride with a lot of patience, and I feel like that's the way you got to ride a super bike. And I'm learning to talk to my team better and to make adjustments to the bike. I feel like I did that really good with the R7, which is a mini super bike. There was so much that we could change with that thing, and at the end of it with Melissa and Evan, I feel like we had that thing dialed and we were going in the right direction.
That's cool, man. Well, is your Simcoe is asking Chris from Pendergast is asking this. Is your riding style a little bit different from the 750 to the 600?
Uh, no, not a whole lot. I definitely have to be more patient with the 750 though. Like I was saying with that throttle, I struggled with that, but we're going to work that out.
And then there's another question about Laguna Seca. I don't know the answer to this question, Brian, but he wants to know if they're doing lots of construction up there, and they're repaving the place. And do I know if they're going to take that dip out of turn 6, or are they going to leave it because it's kind of a character? I actually kind of like that dip,
Oh, for sure.
right?
That's something
I love
I
G in the bike out right there, dude.
everyone talks like you just said specialists. That's the only section of the racetrack that I got on anyone else is won't pick up the throttle soon enough. I'm wide open before I reach that thing just to make sure that I don't bottom my shit out and crash in turn
Yeah,
6. Because that just looks like scary oblivion to me. Just
yeah. I like that dip, dude. I kind of use that dip because it's like a little bit of bank on it, kind of like I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know, but Hopefully they
You
don't
and me
take that
both.
dip out, dude. That'll change the whole thing. Yeah? Like, come on, man. Stop being a pussy. Yeah, I said it.
It's like
Sorry,
it's
not
like
sorry.
taking out the corkscrew. Yeah,
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, let's just take. Or they back in the day they used to talk about throwing a chicane on the back straightaway at Willow. Like, that would just ruin the whole thing. You know,
yeah,
slow things down, probably make it a little safer, but it would suck.
yeah. Who would go?
Yeah, why would a place like Willow exist if you can't put your knee down in sixth gear with the throttle to the stop? Like what? I mean, come on, dude. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, Brian apparently likes my answer too. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, man. Let me browse the comments really quick just to make sure that we're good here. Yeah, dude, I think we're good, man. Like, dude, I appreciate you jumping on with me, man. This is great. This has been
Yeah.
actually really fun too, because you're real. Like,
Thanks for having me. I had an absolute blast. And hey, we've come a long way from sitting at a little booth in Willow Ranch right over there by Button Willow, with
by
Chris
the
McGuire.
Rochi motels in Buttonwillow.
Yeah, right there by that Motel 6 and everything. Yeah, and just come a long way since then.
Yeah, I mean, the only unfortunate thing is you have to run those Dunlops again. Like I always will think of you as a Pirelli guy.
Oh, yeah. If Pirelli wants to come in at any time, we'll be more than
Well,
happy to run them.
I mean, you can't though until they change the rules, right? So.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what? I wish you the best of luck. I hope to see you on the grid at Daytona. I also hope to see you Umbrella Boy for Hayden Schultz at Daytona. That will be amazing if that happens. And I appreciate you for the T-shirt idea. Um, I'll, I'll send you design pics as soon as I get them from Irina. But
Oh, man.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. Thank you for that. And dude, best of luck this year. I'll be rooting for you, man. Even though you are on a Suzuki, I'll still be rooting for you because you're homies from California. So
Thank you, Dustin. I appreciate it. We'll see you
yeah, man.
soon.
All right, buddy.
All right.